Hello everyone, how you doing? This is Israel from Israel Keys Wealth. It's good to have you back with us on the Traders Podcast. This is the second episode in the podcast, and once again to everybody who has been subscribing and watching our videos and sharing, we are so grateful. Just to recap, this didn't start for us as a YouTube channel. We run a small group of a small mentoring group with some traders that we're teaching and growing in the markets. And this really started for us as an opportunity or a place just to put the content we were doing, we were producing, so we could give links to our students to watch the content. And so most of the videos are under the private setting in YouTube. And about a month ago, someone had an idea, why don't we just put a couple of these on YouTube and see what happens? And wow, we're so excited. We've gone past the 100 subscriber mark. We're about 145 now. So take a moment right now, like, subscribe, do it. And so for the last episode of the podcast, and what the Traders Podcast really is us talking to you simply. Now, this is my home study, so there's no fancy bells or whistles here. I haven't rented a studio or a flashy car to make you want to put your money out. I want to talk to you about what trading is really like in the trenches, day to day. What does it feel like to trade? So last time I talked a little bit about my journey trading the market, my losses, my struggles with risk management. And really, if there is one thing I could tell you that will save you years of pain and thousands of dollars in losses, it is learn to risk manage. If you're a new Forex trader or you are not a profitable one, go to Google and just type in risk management trading and find everything you can find about that. Type it in YouTube. You can go to some of our videos where we talk about it. That really is the super secret to surviving in the markets, because if you don't lose all your money, you'll last long enough to learn what to do. So let me repeat, if you can stay long enough in the markets, eventually you will get good at it. But if you lose everything too quick, which is what happens when you don't risk manage, then you're a disaster waiting to happen. And so today I just want to talk to you about the need to really understand the markets. Now, I dabbled with this on the last podcast, but I just want to spend some more time going into it in more detail. It seems to me that traders are the one set of people who feel that they can just go into a trillion. See, Forex is $5.5 trillion per day. Let me repeat that. Not million, not billion, trillion with a T. Not per week, month, a year, per day. There is at least $5 to $5.5 trillion traded on the Forex market every single day. In what other industry would you attempt to jump in the fray in something this big without really taking the time to understand how it works? And I don't blame you. I call them the cowboys. So you're going to hear me talk about them so often. And, I just really have a disdain for these sets of people who will put out a fancy YouTube or Facebook online advert. They'll drag some poor and suspecting people to a hotel room for a few hours. I'm not going to mention their names. You know who they are. They'll show you pictures of money they made and cars they bought and all the fancy stuff that they're doing. Many won't tell you what it took to get there, or the fact that the stuff they're showing you has all been rented, hired, or borrowed. They'll get you thinking that with a few short hours of very basic and sometimes flawed training, that you can get into a $5 trillion per day space and make a killing. And as many of you have found out, the answer is no, you won't. We call this the 90 rule in Forex. The fact that 90% of traders will have lost 90% of their starting capital within 90 days of trading. Let's think about that for a second. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. Can you make plenty of money trading Forex and other markets like futures and stocks and shares and options and stuff? Oh, you bet you can. And we've done that here at Israel Keys. Uh, we've proven it. We show our students and online and on Instagram a feed and here on the YouTube channel week after week after week, and of just great solid results. But we didn't start that way. I told you last time I lost 35,000 in both tuition fees and predominantly losses. Of the tuition, I probably paid about maybe 7 grand in total. No, that's a bit of an exaggeration. About 5 grand in total for all the courses I ever did. But the rest of that money I lost to the markets, learning some of the stuff we're trying to teach you for free. And the first key to stopping the bleeding for me was learning risk management. The second key was taking the time to figure out, how do the markets work? When you watch Formula One, when you see Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, and in the days Schumacher and Damon Hill and Senna and the greats, these guys don't just know how to drive. They understand driving to a science. They understand aerodynamics. They understand lift. They understand geometry and physics. They are experts on how their car works, how the tracks work, how the aerodynamics of driving and speed work. Many of these guys are smarter than the average PhD student in their field. Because when you're playing at the top end, the margins count. When you're playing at the top end, that extra 1% counts. When you're playing at the top end, a pip can count in trading. Knowing where to go in and where to go out. And as I began to study, I realized that these markets weren't random. There was a cadence to them. Repeatable patterns, day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out. But I also began to understand who is behind the scenes. And if you sign up for our Market Breakers course and mentorship program, we'll teach you all this stuff. But just understand this, there is far more than you and a computer screen. You see these bars and charts moving up and down. These are not computer games. This isn't a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox 360 or Live or whatever it is. These are depictions. Look at these. These are depictions of real life human decisions. Every candle, every movement of price has human psychology behind it. And so I had to learn who the players in the market are. A few off the top of my head, you got the central banks, you got the big banks. Most people don't realize that 80% of all Forex transactions are created, between about 75% now, of all Forex transactions involve one of 10 major entities. Think about that. There are 10 organizations who between them control 80% of the Forex market. If you understood how they function, how they think, what drives them, what their objectives are, what their behaviors are, their characteristics, if you could learn to see them move on a chart, do you think you'd be a better trader? I do. You got the central banks, you got the banks, you got the large hedge funds. I'm not talking about funds like I've traded for in the past, where you got a couple of people put together $500,000 or 200,000. No, I'm talking about billion-dollar hedge funds, the George Soroses, people on that level, people on the Warren Buffett level, although I don't know if he trades Forex any longer. But those are the guys we're talking about, the big dogs, big players, guys who can really make a move. Now, if you got $1 trillion market, a £5,000 account isn't making a dent in that market, which is where you come in. And for the average retail trader, that's what they call all of us who don't trade institutionally, meaning we don't trade for a bank or a registered fund. We make up 5 to 600 billion per day in that market. So we're less than 1 billion is 20%. So we're less than 10%. We're roughly about 10% of the market is us. And we are literally catnip. We're aquarium feed. We're breakfast for these guys. We exist for one reason only, to provide liquidity. You got to realize that. And if you don't know what that means, sign up for our Market Breakers course, shameless plug. We exist as retail traders to provide liquidity, and that is it, right? All we exist for is to give the guys who really know what they're doing liquidity to engineer what they want to do. And so if you understood how to think like, if we're 500 billion, that leaves of 5.5 trillion, that leaves another 5 trillion. If you understood how the $5 trillion pockets work, you think you'd be successful? And so I plead with you. And you don't hear too many people in this business say this because they're really trying to get your money. I'm not. At Israel Keys Wealth, we're not. We don't train people for money. We trade for money. We train people because we have a passion to help people build wealth. Of course, it costs to train, so there is a cost to the trading, but our business model primarily isn't taking money out of your pocket. So we'll tell you this. If you've been trading for less than 1 year, or however long you've been trading, you've not been consistently profitable, close your live account today. You can keep trading a demo account, shut down your live account today, and spend the next 2 to 6 months studying how the Forex markets work, what drives them, technically, fundamentally, and sentimentally. We'll talk about that in our next podcast episode, the 3 types of analysis in Forex. So the technicals, their fundamentals, and their sentimentals. In essence, what's going on in the real world, how to see it on a screen, and how human psychology works. I repeat, what happens in the real world that drives the markets. Secondly, how you can see that on a chart and understand what did what without necessarily having been privy to the information in the real world. And thirdly, how the human psyche works. If you can get this down to a generic science, you are 70% on your way to succeeding in the Forex markets. I repeat, if you can get a grasp of 3 things, what in the real world drives the Forex markets, because like I said, it's not a computer game. There is a real world out there that is being manifest in here. Secondly, how can you spot those real world decisions or occurrences on a chart? And thirdly, how does human psychology affect the decisions the people in the real world make that you can see on the chart? If you have those 3 things in place, you'll be both proactive and responsive, not reactive. You don't want to react in Forex. If you lose money because you're reacting, it's going up, buy, it's going down, sell, and you're confused, I don't know what to do, and then you come out and then it goes the way you thought it was going to go the first time. Or the dynamic stop loss placement. Well, I know I'm right, and so I'm going to hold on. I'm going to move my stop loss from 1% to 5% to 10% to 50% to 70%. Before you get to 70%, you get a margin call. Eventually, I'm going to blow my account. I'm going to cry into my tea. I'm going to go make that money back working 4 shifts and start again next month. That is ASA 9, 10, 11, and 12. But if you understand real world fundamentals, meaning what drives the Forex markets economically, politically, if you understand how to read the decision making of all the different players on a chart, and you understand human sentiment, you can both predict and respond. And that's how you make money in Forex. You predict and you respond. This has been Israel. Thank you for listening. Welcome again for those of you who are new to Israel Keys Wealth. Sign up right now, subscribe right now. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to grow this channel to put out content in the space that is really geared towards real life people succeeding in the markets. And for every person, every organization, every business who's doing this for real that you support, we can kick the cowboys out the markets. And finally, before I let you guys go today, I just want to tell you about an exciting opportunity we're dropping in January. From the 3rd of January, we're going to be going live Now, we have three different elements to our offering here. We've got a Market Breakers course and some other courses where we teach you the fundamentals and the foundations and the advanced concepts of the Forex market. We've got our VIP Mentorship, which is really about new traders and helping you get up to speed and basically walking you through your journey. And then we've got the Mastermind Inner Circle, which is for advanced traders, which is providing things like signals and strategies and a traders hub where you can connect with other people in the markets. And each of these on its own, if we put them together on a monthly basis, we'd be running to almost about £400 a month. We are going to give all three away to the first 30 signups in January for £69.99 a month. I'm not sure what that is in dollars now. $69.99. You get the course, you get pre-recorded videos, you get weekly webinars, analysis, settings, signals, strategies, and you get one-on-one interaction with experienced traders for $69.99 a month. That is unheard of. My team thinks I'm crazy. They're pushing me to try up the price a little bit, but we're going to hold firm to the first 30 people who sign up. We're going to close the first intake at 30, and we're going to open it again in February, but the price is going to have gone up by then. So you want to get in at the basement, at the floor, get in right now. The details are going to be below in the link in the description tab. Have a great week trading the markets. Take care. Bye-bye.